Governor, let's turn our attention to Washington. The Republicans there are calling Biden's infrastructure bill too rich, and that restructuring the corporate tax rate will stunt the economy and jobs growth. Democrats insist corporations paying no taxes must change. Is Biden's plan the wrong answer to getting more infrastructure dollars to states like us, Massachusetts?
Well, first of all, they have a long way to go on their debate and their discussion, and I would really like to see if it's possible for them to do something on a bipartisan basis. That's something we've been quite successful doing here in the Commonwealth. It means people have to give, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think in many cases you end up with a better product. The two things I would say is, number one, and I said this before President Biden proposed his original plan, I wanted to see more funding from the feds around resiliency. We do a lot of work around resiliency with respect to climate here in Massachusetts in every capital project we do and every infrastructure project. I would like to see a lot more focus on resiliency than there is currently in that bill. And as I've said this about Massachusetts, I don't think you should be raising taxes when you have millions of people across the U.S. and hundreds of thousands here in Massachusetts who are out of work. Let's get people back to work.
But what about corporate taxes? No, that's not on the...
Same view.
You're against the idea of raising corporate taxes?
I don't think we should be raising taxes in the middle of a critical economic time.
Governor, unemployment is still a major problem for people who are waiting weeks at a time for their money. The average wait time, Labor and Workforce Development says it's either 70 days if you're on unemployment insurance, or it's 47 days if you're on pandemic unemployment. That's anywhere between 7 and 10 weeks with no money. Is the system broke? Obviously, they went up against some malicious actors. What can we do to prevent this from happening again?
Well, there are a few things that have been done by the folks at DUA to deal especially with the issue around, as you put it, illicit actors. I mean, there was a global effort by some very sophisticated people to fraud the U.S. government and state governments out of billions, maybe even more, hundreds of billions of dollars in unemployment benefits. And we've installed a whole series of initiatives to help improve our performance around fraud. And those initiatives have reduced in a pretty significant way the length of time between filing for a claim and actually getting your money. But there's more to be done there, and we'll continue to improve our performance.
Do we need a national system? Would that be better?
I think the challenge across I think that would be first of all, be very hard to do, because remember, not every state basically has its own terms around how its unemployment systems work, and that would be a hard one to take away from states. I think states like being able to make decisions about how their systems are going to be organized and how they're going to operate within a federal framework. And the second thing I would say about that is, when people start talking about nationalizing something as big and complicated as that, I worry a lot that one really terrific hacker could blow up the entire country and create real havoc and chaos. I think the fact that you at least have multiple systems in place that all operate within the framework of a set of rules that comes from the feds is actually safer in some respects from a technology point of view.
So, Governor, we can't let you go without asking your favorite question, which is simply, are you running for re-election? If you won't tell us today, when will you decide on a third term?
Well, I've been my wife and others would all tell you that I've been pretty focused on COVID for the better part of the past year. And until we see a lot more progress on vaccinations and a lot more progress on what I would call sort of recovery generally, that's going to be my focus.
But you're going to have to make a decision sooner than later. Would it be before the end of the year?
I will have to make a decision at some point. There's no question about that. The Lieutenant Governor and I both know that. But what the people of Massachusetts want us focused on is getting them vaccinated and helping those who can't get back to work get back to work. And that's where we're going to focus our energies.
All right.
I tried.
Yeah, she did. She
I
did try.
I tried.
Our thanks again to Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker for joining us.